My mother left me behind for her new family and never looked back. Now she wants a front row seat at my wedding. But my response revealed who she really is. I've never had what anyone would call a normal mother-daughter bond. Honestly, even referring to her as mom feels strange and forced because, in reality, she was never a parent to me. She was just someone who happened to give birth to me and then disappeared. She walked out when I was still a baby, too little to remember the day she left. What I do remember clearly is my father, Mark, stepping up without hesitation, becoming both parents, and giving me the most stable, loving childhood anyone could ask for. He was my real parent in every way that mattered. I wasn't completely severed from Sarah, that's her name. The courts granted her visitation rights every other weekend, but she almost never showed up. As a small child, I would sit on the windowsill for hours, hoping this time would be different, but more often than not, she either canceled last minute or returned me early because something came up. She went out of her way to avoid responsibility. She would quit jobs the moment child support garnishment started and even landed in jail twice for refusing to pay. My dad worked exhausting hours to keep us afloat while she lived her life completely detached from mine. When I was around 6, Sarah met Phil, a man about 10 years older than her. From the little I saw, he liked to see himself as some kind of savior. Between the ages of 6 and 14, I saw them maybe 5 times total. Each visit was painfully awkward, filled with fake enthusiasm and forced smiles. They pretended we were a normal family, but it felt like a bad play that everyone knew was pretend. Phil, especially, kept trying to insert himself as a father figure. I remember one Father's Day event at school when I was about 10. My dad couldn't make it that day because of work, but it wasn't a big deal to me. Phil saw his opening. He showed up uninvited, put his arm around me, and loudly announced, "Hey kiddo, I can stand in for your dad today if you want." I just stared at him, stunned, and managed a quiet "I'm okay, thanks," before walking away. Inside, I was furious. I never told my dad because I didn't want him to feel guilty. Phil also loved dropping little digs. If your dad had been more cooperative, we could have all been closer. Eventually, I snapped and told him never to speak about my father that way. My dad had done more for me in a week than Phil or Sarah had done in years. After that, the stepdad act stopped. Meanwhile, Sarah and Phil built their own family, 3 younger children I barely knew existed. I was never invited to birthdays, holidays, or anything else. I had been replaced the moment a better version came along. Then, when I was 14, my entire world collapsed. My dad died suddenly of a massive heart attack. One day we were planning my high school start, the next he was gone. I didn't even get to say goodbye. My uncles Pete and Rob immediately stepped in and took me home with them. No questions, no hesitation. They had always been more like big brothers anyway. Sarah didn't even attend the funeral. She was too busy. Phil showed up alone, found me after the service, sat down with that fake sympathetic face and said, "You can come live with your mom and me anytime. We have plenty of room." I looked at him like he had lost his mind. This man I'd met 5 times in my entire life thought he could swoop in now. I told him I was staying with my uncles, thank you very much. He wouldn't let it go. He launched into a speech about family sticking together and how Sarah really wants to be there for you now. I shut him down hard. Now, where were you when I sat waiting by the window every other weekend? Where were you when she went to jail for not supporting me? Too little, too late. His face turned red. He muttered something about me being a confused kid who didn't understand how difficult things had been for Sarah, and I told him my dad was the one who had it difficult raising me alone. Phil stormed off warning me I'd regret pushing them away. I never did. Life with my uncles was healing. They gave me space to grieve, never pressured me to move on, and made their home feel safe. I still missed my dad every single day, but at least I was surrounded by people who genuinely loved me. Fast forward to age 27. I'm engaged to an incredible man named Matt, and I've kept Sarah and Phil at arm's length for years. I stay loosely in touch with the rest of Sarah's relatives because they never forced anything on me. So when my maternal grandparents invited me to a big family birthday party, I went alone. Matt had to work figuring I'd say hello and leave. Everything was fine until Phil cornered me by the dessert table. After the usual fake pleasantries, he got to the point. "We heard you're engaged, congratulations." Sarah and I were surprised we didn't get an invitation to the engagement party. We are family, after all. I told him it was a small gathering of people we're actually close to. He pressed on, saying they were hurt to be excluded. Then came the bombshell. I've always thought of you as my daughter, Jamie. I'd be honored to walk you down the aisle if you'll let me. I saw red. In front of half the family, I let him have it. You've always thought of me as your daughter. You've met me 5 times. My dad is the one who should be walking me down the aisle, but he's dead. You don't get to slide into his place because it's convenient now. He tried defending himself, even dared to imply my dad had kept me away from them. I lost it completely, told him never to speak ill of the man who raised me while Sarah ran from responsibility. The entire room went silent. Phil called me disrespectful and ungrateful. I told him I was grateful to my dad, not to them, and that they were nothing to me. Then I walked out. The fallout was immediate. Aunts, cousins, and flying monkeys descended with texts and calls telling me I was too harsh, that I embarrassed Sarah and Phil in public, that they're trying, that blood is thicker than water, etc. I stood my ground with every single one of them. Then Sarah herself called, the first direct conversation in years. She started with "I'm very disappointed in you" and repeated the same script. Phil has only ever tried to help. I need to let go of the past. I'll regret cutting them out. I laughed in her face over the phone and reminded her where she was when I actually needed a mother. She pulled the "I'm still your mother" card. I told her biology doesn't earn you the title when you abandon your child. She warned me I'd regret it. I hung up and felt lighter than I had in decades. Of course, they didn't stop. Since I blocked their numbers, Phil showed up at my apartment unannounced. Same speech, different location. I refused to let him inside, repeated that they forfeited any right to my life years ago, and when he again blamed my dad for keeping me away, I told him to leave before I called the police. He left warning me I'd need them one day. I slammed the door and finally felt at peace. I have since blocked every avenue they could use to reach me. My wedding will be filled with people who showed up when it mattered. My uncles will walk me down the aisle. My chosen family will celebrate with me, and the people who abandoned me will not get a single seat. I don't owe them forgiveness, explanations, or access. They had 27 years to be parents and chose a different family instead. Now I'm choosing peace, and for the first time in my life, it feels like I can actually breathe. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.